It was supposed to be the happiest night of my life. Soft candlelight flickered around the restaurant, casting a gentle glow on my nervous reflection in the glass. I'd spent hours preparing, from choosing the perfect sapphire dress that accentuated my curves, to imagining how Lucas's eyes would sparkle when he finally asked me to marry him. My heart raced as I noticed him walking towards our table, that charming smile on his face, the same one that had melted my heart countless times before. "Emma," Lucas greeted me smoothly, sliding effortlessly into his seat. His voice was calm, almost casual, but his eyes were distant, distracted. Immediately, a quiet panic stirred inside me, though I forced a smile. "You look amazing tonight," I managed, fighting the unease settling into my chest. "Thanks," he replied shortly, not returning the compliment. Instead, his gaze drifted around the lavish dining room, avoiding mine. My stomach twisted with anxiety. Something was horribly wrong. "Lucas, is everything okay?" My voice shook slightly, betraying my nerves. His eyes finally met mine, but instead of warmth, they held an unfamiliar coldness. His lips curved into a smile, a mocking one, harsh and humorless. "Oh, Emma," he sighed, leaning back leisurely in his chair. "I think we both knew this wasn't going anywhere long-term." My breath caught sharply. The air around me seemed suddenly too thick to breathe. "What do you mean?" I asked quietly, dread filling me. He chuckled, a bitter, contemptuous sound that drew the attention of nearby tables. My cheeks burned with embarrassment. "I found someone else," Lucas stated bluntly, leaning forward to rest his elbows arrogantly on the pristine white tablecloth. "She's, how do I put it? Wealthier. More connected. She can offer me the future I really deserve." Each word was like a dagger plunged into my chest, tearing away at the illusions I'd built around us. My vision blurred with tears, humiliation and shock intertwining. "You're leaving me, for money?" My voice trembled, disbelief coloring every syllable. Lucas's laughter echoed cruelly, filling my ears with a sound I'd never imagined could come from him. "Don't be naive, Emma. Love doesn't pay bills or buy happiness. You were always so sentimental, always dreaming, but dreams don't build empires." He stood abruptly, brushing non-existent dirt off his designer suit, every movement deliberate, every gesture dismissive. I stared up at him, desperate and shattered. "Lucas, please." He cut me off harshly. "Look around, Emma. You don't belong here. You never did." His final words lingered painfully as he walked away, leaving me humiliated, broken, and entirely alone. The restaurant was quiet now, the murmurs and whispers echoing clearly in the silence he'd left behind. I forced myself not to cry, holding on to my dignity by the barest thread. But as the reality of what he'd done fully hit me, one thought echoed louder than any heartbreak. Someday I would make him regret this night. The weeks after Lucas left felt endless, a blurred sequence of dark rooms and sleepless nights. I found myself curled up on my sofa, replaying that humiliating scene over and over until the sharp edges dulled into numbness. I'd lost more than love. I'd lost my confidence, my self-worth. It felt like he'd stripped away the very foundation of who I was. One rainy afternoon, my best friend Mia stormed into my apartment, opening the curtains fiercely as if battling away my darkness. "Emma, look at you. You can't keep hiding in here forever," Mia scolded gently, her voice firm but caring. I squinted painfully at the sudden burst of daylight streaming through the window. "Mia, I appreciate your optimism, but I'm fine." "No, you're not," she snapped softly, kneeling beside me. Her expressive eyes were filled with genuine concern. "You're letting him win, and you deserve better than that." I bit my lip, holding back tears. He was right, though. I'm nobody. I don't have connections, money, influence. "You're brilliant, Emma," Mia interrupted firmly. "You have the kind of ideas people dream about. Remember your app? Your vision for that startup you've always talked about." I shook my head, frustration breaking through my sadness. "Those were dreams, Mia. Lucas was clear. Dreams don't pay the bills." "Forget Lucas." Mia snapped, eyes blazing with fierce determination. "He's a coward who didn't see your potential. You have talent, Emma. I believe in you. Let's make your dreams pay bills. Let's build your own empire." Her words struck me deep, cracking through the darkness that had swallowed me. Mia always had this unwavering belief, an unshakable optimism that felt contagious even now. Slowly, something stirred inside my chest. Something small but powerful, a fragile hope desperate to break free. Do you really think I can do it? I whispered, my voice barely audible. Mia took my hands firmly, squeezing them gently. I don't just think you can, I know you will. In the following days, Mia practically dragged me out of my shell, forcing me into sunlight, meetings, and coffee shops filled with ambitious chatter. Each interaction was uncomfortable at first, but slowly my confidence began to return. I remembered my passion, the thrill of creating something meaningful from nothing. One evening, while sketching app layouts on scattered napkins in a crowded cafe, my mind buzzing with creativity, I felt someone approaching. A gentle cough startled me from my thoughts. "Excuse me," came a deep, polite voice, warm and confident. I glanced up, meeting kind, intelligent eyes. "I couldn't help but notice what you're sketching. That's fascinating." His presence was reassuring, instantly calming my nerves. "Oh, thank you. It's just a rough concept, really." He smiled genuinely, extending his hand. "I'm Daniel. I work in software development. Mind if I take a look?" I hesitated briefly before nodding shyly. Daniel took a seat, studying my scribbled notes intently. "Emma," he said finally, his eyes brightening, "this idea could really work. Have you considered partnering with someone who knows how to bring it to life?" I hadn't thought that far ahead, I admitted honestly, feeling vulnerable yet strangely safe in Daniel's thoughtful gaze. He leaned forward, excitement flickering in his eyes. "Maybe we could discuss this further? I think we could create something incredible together." For the first time in weeks, I felt genuinely hopeful. Daniel wasn't just interested, he believed in me. Perhaps Mia was right. Maybe my dreams weren't just naive fantasies after all. Yet even as optimism blossomed, uncertainty lingered. Could I trust myself again, especially after everything that had happened with Lucas? But Daniel's smile was encouraging, patient, and impossibly kind. "Take your time. But don't let this pass you by, Emma." His words echoed softly in my mind long after he left, leaving me both inspired and afraid. I was standing at the edge of possibility, but was I brave enough to leap? I stood outside Daniel's small but inviting office space, my heart beating nervously. It had been 2 days since our encounter, and yet his words, his belief in my idea, still echoed powerfully in my mind. With a deep breath, I pushed open the door, stepping into a brightly lit room filled with computers, whiteboards, and countless post-it notes scattered around. Daniel looked up from his screen, immediately greeting me with a warm smile. "Emma, I'm glad you came." "Thanks for having me," I responded shyly, trying to hide my nerves. Honestly, I wasn't sure I'd come. I almost turned back about 5 times on the way here. He laughed, gently gesturing to a chair across from his desk. "I'm glad you didn't. Every entrepreneur I've ever met had doubts. It's normal. Even healthy." "Entrepreneur?" I asked hesitantly, the word feeling both thrilling and intimidating. "Yes, entrepreneur." Daniel nodded confidently. "That's exactly what you are, or at least what you're about to become." His reassurance softened my anxiety, encouraging me to continue. Soon we were lost in conversation, mapping ideas onto whiteboards and debating passionately about features, branding, and the core vision of the app. Daniel's energy was contagious. He spoke about technology with a passion that reignited my own. After several hours of intense brainstorming, Daniel leaned back in his chair, thoughtful yet excited. "We really have something special here, Emma. But before we go further, I need to know one thing." I swallowed nervously. "What is it?" He hesitated briefly, then asked sincerely, "Are you ready to commit to this? Because there will be setbacks, serious setbacks. It'll test your resolve in ways you've never imagined." My mind immediately flashed back to Lucas, to his laughter, to my humiliation. I remembered how low I'd felt, but also how Mia had pushed me forward. The fear of failure was powerful, but the thought of letting Lucas's cruelty define me was even scarier. "I'm ready," I replied firmly, determination growing stronger with each word. "I can handle setbacks. I have something to prove, not just to Lucas but to myself." Daniel smiled gently, respect clear in his eyes. "Good. Then let's do this together." Days soon turned into weeks. Daniel and I became inseparable, working late into the night, fueled by coffee and ambition. There were countless struggles, technical glitches, rejected funding applications, and endless self-doubt. Every setback reminded me painfully of Lucas's cruel laughter, threatening to pull me back into insecurity. Yet Daniel's constant support steadied me. When things went wrong, he had an uncanny ability to lighten my mood, making me laugh even in our darkest moments. It wasn't just his talent or intelligence that amazed me. It was his kindness, his patience. Slowly, I found myself looking forward to our late nights at the office, conversations slipping seamlessly from work into personal dreams, fears, and hopes. One night, exhausted after hours of working, I looked up from my computer screen, noticing Daniel watching me with a soft smile. "What?" I asked, my cheeks warming slightly under his gaze. "Nothing. It's just, you've come so far in such a short time," he admitted sincerely. "You inspire me, Emma." My breath caught in my throat, his words wrapping around me like a comforting blanket. For the first time since Lucas had shattered my heart, I felt truly seen. Truly valued. "Daniel, I don't know if I could have done any of this without you," I confessed softly, feeling suddenly vulnerable again. "You've believed in me more than anyone else ever has." He chuckled gently, shaking his head. "You underestimate yourself. Your idea, your drive, it's all you." Our eyes lingered, tension hanging quietly between us, a promise of something more. But before either of us could say another word, the silence was broken by the harsh buzzing of my phone. The sudden interruption startled me, pulling me swiftly from the delicate intimacy we'd been building. Mia's voice filled the line, excitement and urgency tangled together. "Emma, you won't believe this. Did you check the emails yet?" Confused, I quickly opened my laptop, Daniel leaning forward in anticipation. My heart leaped into my throat when I read the message on my screen. A prestigious startup competition had shortlisted us. Our fledgling idea was gaining real attention, validation. "Oh my God, Daniel." I gasped, tears of excitement forming in my eyes. "We did it. They chose us." His smile widened, genuine and filled with pride. "I never doubted you." But even as happiness surged through me, a sharp pang of anxiety followed swiftly after. With newfound success came greater risk, more eyes watching, more chances to fail spectacularly. Could I really rise to this challenge? Could I finally silence Lucas's laughter forever? The question lingered heavily in my heart, even as I smiled brightly at Daniel, holding tightly onto this newfound hope. Success felt surreal, like a delicate dream balanced precariously between hope and fear. Our app had started gaining traction. Downloads increased, reviews were glowing, and suddenly people recognized me at networking events. Yet, every time I began to feel secure, Lucas's shadow crept back into my world, reminding me of wounds I hadn't completely healed. One evening, as I sat scrolling through social media, a picture halted me in my tracks. It was Lucas, his arm draped casually around her waist, both smiling triumphantly. Behind them, a luxurious yacht gleamed against the vibrant sunset. He wore the same arrogant smile he'd given me the night he shattered my world, flaunting his new life as if it were a prize. The caption twisted like a knife in my heart. "Living my best life with my perfect match. #blessed, #luxury life." I dropped the phone onto my bed, hands trembling slightly. Anger surged, bitter and sharp. Wasn't it enough that he had humiliated me? Did he need to flaunt it as well? Suddenly my phone buzzed. Mia, as if sensing my distress, messaged immediately. "Mia, don't look at it, Emma. You're better than this." I sighed deeply, fingers typing rapidly. "Me, easy for you to say. I'm here fighting for scraps and he's living the dream." Her reply came swiftly. "Mia, you're building something real, something yours. Remember why you started." She was right as always, but the ache remained. That night, unable to sleep, I poured my heart into my work, refining presentations, perfecting our pitch. I immersed myself fully, turning my frustration into fuel. Every moment spent on the startup felt like a personal rebellion against Lucas, a way to regain the dignity he'd stripped away. The next day, Daniel and I faced our first significant investor meeting. My heart raced as we stepped into the sleek, glass-covered building. Around us, people in elegant suits moved confidently, each step echoing authority. "Breathe," Daniel whispered beside me, placing a reassuring hand on my shoulder. His touch sent warmth rippling through me, instantly calming my anxiety. "I'm fine," I lied softly, giving him a grateful smile. "You're not fine," he countered gently. "You're brave and you're determined. That's even better." His sincerity made my chest tighten, and before I could respond, a voice interrupted our quiet moment. "Emma?" A familiar, arrogant voice echoed sharply through the lobby. My entire body froze. Slowly, painfully, I turned towards the sound, recognizing Lucas's distinctive, smug tone. He stood mere feet away, impeccably dressed, his eyes amused and cruelly curious. "Lucas," I murmured, barely hiding my shock. My heart pounded violently against my ribs. "What are you doing here?" "Networking, obviously," he said carelessly, looking around the conference lobby as if bored by my presence. "It's surprising to see you here. Did someone let you in by mistake?" Beside me, Daniel tensed visibly, protective and alert. "Emma has every right to be here," he intervened calmly, a clear strength behind his words. Lucas's gaze shifted dismissively towards Daniel. "And who is this?" "Her business partner," Daniel replied firmly, stepping closer, subtly protective. "You must be Lucas. I've heard about you." Lucas smirked coldly, his eyes flicking back to me. "I see you moved on quickly. Good for you, someone finally willing to indulge your fantasies." His words stung, reigniting old insecurities. But this time anger rose even stronger, drowning out my doubts. I straightened my shoulders, voice steady. "Actually, Lucas, we're here because our fantasies have become a reality. You wouldn't understand." He laughed sharply, clearly dismissing my confidence. "I admire your stubbornness, Emma, but you should know your limits. Some things aren't meant for people like you." "Maybe not," I shot back, fueled by defiance. "But at least I never betrayed someone I claimed to love for money." His expression faltered briefly, a flicker of anger cracking his arrogant facade. "Don't pretend you're better than me," he retorted, voice low and harsh. "We're all playing the same game, I was just honest about it." "No," I said firmly, meeting his stare unflinchingly. "I refuse to play your game. I'm building something real, something you'll never understand." Lucas scoffed dismissively, but something in his eyes had changed. Uncertainty, irritation, perhaps even envy. Without another word, he turned sharply and disappeared into the crowd, leaving me breathless and shaken. Daniel gently placed a hand on my arm, anchoring me back to reality. "Emma, are you okay?" "I think so," I whispered, the tremor in my voice betraying my emotions. "Actually, no, not yet. But I will be." He nodded quietly, eyes filled with pride. "You stood up to him. That takes courage." A faint smile crept onto my lips, tentative yet genuine. "He won't always have power over me. I'll make sure of it." But even as I spoke with confidence, a dark thought crept into the back of my mind. Could I truly escape Lucas's shadow, or would his cruel laughter forever echo in my heart? After that encounter with Lucas, my determination deepened, becoming almost obsessive. Every night, I worked until exhaustion blurred my vision, refusing to let his harsh words control my future. The startup began gaining momentum. We secured funding, expanded our team, and with Daniel's support, everything felt possible. Yet no matter how successful we became, Lucas's shadow lingered, darkening every victory with bitter memories. His new life still haunted me. Even when I tried to avoid news of him, updates filtered through social media or casual gossip. Lavish vacations, extravagant parties, and expensive gifts, all broadcasted proudly, each image subtly mocking my humble progress. One morning, a notification appeared on my screen. Lucas and his new partner had gotten engaged. A photograph showed them standing before a luxurious mansion, her sparkling diamond ring painfully visible. My stomach churned, jealousy and bitterness mingling into a toxic cocktail. "Emma." Daniel's voice snapped me from my spiraling thoughts. He stood in the doorway holding 2 cups of coffee, eyes gentle but concerned. "Are you all right?" I quickly minimized the screen, forcing a smile. "Of course, just checking something." His gaze narrowed, clearly unconvinced. "Emma, talk to me. What's wrong?" Reluctantly, I turned the laptop screen toward him. Daniel's eyes quickly scanned the headline, his expression darkening slightly. Then, without judgment or hesitation, he stepped closer, his voice gentle. "You know none of that matters, right? Lucas is irrelevant now." "I know," I sighed, running my fingers through my hair in frustration. "But every time I think I've moved past it, he finds a way to remind me of what he took away from me." Daniel's eyes softened. Setting the laptop aside, he leaned against my desk, facing me directly. Emma, you've built something incredible here. Something real. You did that, not Lucas, not his fiancée, not anyone else. This success is yours. His sincerity moved me deeply, loosening the grip Lucas still had over my heart. Daniel always knew exactly what to say, exactly how to remind me of my worth. Our eyes locked, the silence charged with tension. It was becoming harder each day to ignore the feelings growing between us, feelings I'd stubbornly tried to bury beneath professionalism and fear. Just as Daniel opened his mouth about to speak again, the office door swung open abruptly. Mia burst in, breathless and exhilarated, holding up her phone. You two won't believe this. Emma, you have to see this. Startled, we turned simultaneously, confusion flashing across Daniel's face. What happened? Mia quickly showed me her phone screen, excitement radiating from her face. The biggest tech influencer just reviewed our app. He loved it, Emma. He's calling it, the future of innovation. My eyes widened as I scanned the glowing review. A dizzying wave of emotion overwhelmed me. Pride, excitement, relief. Daniel beamed beside me, his smile brightening my world in an instant. This changes everything, he whispered, joy shimmering in his voice. Emma, do you realize what this means? Mia nearly bounced in place, ecstatic. Your life is about to change. And yet, despite the excitement buzzing in the air, doubt crept back into my mind. Could I truly trust success? Or would it be another fleeting illusion like Lucas's false promises? Before I could fully savor the moment, another notification appeared. This one was a direct message. Lucas himself. My pulse quickened, hesitation warring with curiosity. Why would he reach out now after everything he'd done? Emma. It read simply, deceptively casual. Congrats. Looks like you're finally making something of yourself. Let's catch up soon. Anger flared again, hot and bright. Daniel noticed immediately, his eyes questioning softly. It's Lucas, I admitted quietly, bitterness bleeding into my voice. Suddenly interested again now that I'm doing well. Daniel stepped closer, protective yet cautious. You don't owe him anything, Emma. I knew he was right, yet curiosity gnawed at me. Why no? What was Lucas truly after? And was I strong enough to face him, or would I crumble once more beneath his manipulation? The uncertainty hovered around me, clouding my newfound success. Lucas had thrown down a challenge and I knew this moment was crucial. Would I confront him head-on, or allow old wounds to sabotage my future? Emma. Mia urged softly, sensing my internal battle. Are you okay? I took a deep, steadying breath, feeling the weight of Daniel's comforting presence and Mia's unwavering support. They believed in me. Perhaps it was time I started believing in myself. Yes, I said firmly, resolve rising within me like a tide. I'm better than okay. And it's time Lucas learned that. But even as the words left my lips, a quiet fear remained. Was I truly ready to face Lucas again, or would his cruel laughter haunt me forever? The room erupted in applause, flashes of cameras blinding me momentarily as I stood on stage, shaking hands with influential investors and business leaders. My heart raced wildly, joy mixing with disbelief. Just months ago I had been humiliated, stripped of dignity and hope. Now I stood here, celebrated and admired. A stark contrast to the woman Lucas had discarded so carelessly. We'd done it. Daniel stood by my side, beaming with pride as applause filled the auditorium. Our startup had just secured a groundbreaking partnership, launching us into heights I'd only dreamed about. As the crowd dispersed, Daniel and I stepped backstage, exhilaration electrifying the space between us. We did it, Emma. Daniel laughed, pulling me into a spontaneous embrace. I melted into his warmth, my heart fluttering wildly at his touch. We did, I whispered, my voice trembling with emotion. I couldn't have done this without you, Daniel. He smiled gently, his eyes softening. You underestimate yourself again. You're stronger than anyone I know. My cheeks flushed warmly, heart thumping at the sincerity in his voice. But before I could reply, Mia burst into the room, ecstatic and nearly out of breath. You two are incredible, she shrieked, throwing her arms around us both. You showed them, Emma. Everyone is talking about you. Laughing, I hugged her tightly, gratitude filling my chest. Mia had believed in me from the start, pushing me forward even when I'd wanted to retreat. But even as joy bubbled inside me, my phone buzzed insistently, disturbing my newfound happiness. I glanced down, instantly freezing. Lucas's name flashed across my screen, jolting me with unwanted emotions. "What's wrong?" Daniel asked immediately, noticing my sudden shift in mood. "It's Lucas," I whispered, frustration blending with lingering hurt. "He's calling." Mia scowled, anger radiating from her eyes. "Ignore him. You're finally free. Don't let him ruin this moment." But curiosity gnawed at me, compelling me to answer despite my better judgment. Hesitantly, I swiped the call, my voice guarded yet strong. "What do you want, Lucas?" Silence crackled on the line before he finally spoke, voice cautious, almost hesitant. "Emma, I saw the news. Congratulations." His praise felt hollow, insincere. "Is that why you called? To congratulate me?" I snapped bitterly. "No," he admitted slowly. "I called because I need to see you. Things aren't going well for me." I almost laughed bitterly. "You expect sympathy from me?" "Emma, please," he pleaded softly, desperation coloring his voice in a way I'd never heard before. "I made mistakes. Huge mistakes. I need to see you, talk to you." His vulnerability caught me off guard, twisting my stomach with conflicted feelings. I glanced at Daniel, whose steady gaze anchored me, silently reminding me of how far I'd come. "You had your chance, Lucas," I responded firmly, channeling strength I didn't know I possessed. "Goodbye." I hung up before he could reply, breathing shakily as I set the phone aside. My fingers trembled slightly, betraying the turmoil inside. Daniel's expression softened with quiet understanding. "You did the right thing." "Did I?" I questioned aloud, uncertainty bleeding through. "I don't know why he still affects me." "Because wounds like that don't heal overnight," Daniel answered gently, stepping closer. "But you don't owe him anything. You're not that same person anymore." I lifted my gaze to meet his, my chest tightening painfully with emotion. "I know, but sometimes it feels like part of me is still trapped there, back in that restaurant, humiliated and small." Daniel reached out softly, his fingertips brushing mine with comforting warmth. "Emma, you're powerful, brilliant, and brave. Lucas never deserved you, but someone else will. Someone who sees how amazing you truly are." His words held weight, charged with meaning neither of us had openly acknowledged yet. For a heartbeat, the silence stretched between us, electric and aching. Daniel started softly, visibly gathering courage. "Emma, there's something I've wanted to say for a long time." "Emma." Mia's voice cut sharply through the moment, forcing Daniel to abruptly step back. "Reporters outside, they want interviews now." Our eyes lingered a second longer, emotions unspoken, suspended between hope and uncertainty. "I'll be right there," I answered, voice steady despite my racing heart. Daniel nodded, visibly disappointed but understanding. "It can wait," he murmured softly. "We have plenty of time." As we stepped back into the spotlight, applause roaring once more, doubt lingered quietly at the back of my mind. Daniel's words had been clear, his intentions unmistakable. Yet fear whispered dangerously, what if opening my heart again left me exposed, vulnerable to pain even deeper than before? Could I risk everything, my heart included, again? A year had passed since that nerve-wracking evening backstage. Now, as I stood in my spacious corner office, gazing out at the glittering skyline beneath me, it still felt surreal. Phew, that title had seemed unreachable just months before, yet here I was, living the dream I'd once believed impossible. Success had reshaped me, taught me resilience, but traces of the woman Lucas had shattered lingered beneath the confident image I portrayed. Even now, his shadow occasionally crossed my thoughts, but no longer as a tormentor. Rather, he was a distant memory of who I once was, someone weaker and uncertain. My reflections were interrupted by a sharp knock at the door. Turning quickly, I saw Daniel stepping into the room, his presence immediately comforting. "You ready for the interviews today?" he asked, smiling warmly as he approached my desk. "I think so," I replied, straightening my posture. Today we were filling critical roles, essential to the company's rapid expansion. The thought still amazed me, we'd built all this together, brick by painstaking brick. He watched me quietly, noticing my tension. "Emma, what's bothering you? You've seemed distracted lately." I hesitated, then admitted softly, "I'm just trying to process everything." A year ago, Lucas laughed in my face because I wasn't good enough. Now I'm here, CEO of my own company. It feels too good to be true. Daniel's expression softened further. It's exactly what you deserve, Emma. You fought every step of the way. You earned this. Before I could respond, Mia peeked into the room, urgency dancing in her eyes. Sorry to interrupt, but the next applicant is waiting outside. Right? I said briskly, pulling myself together. Send them in. Daniel squeezed my shoulder reassuringly before stepping aside to usher in the first candidate. As the door opened fully, I froze, my entire body stiffening in disbelief. Standing nervously in the doorway, looking vastly different from the last time I'd seen him, was Lucas. His eyes widened in shock, instantly recognizing me. Emma. Lucas whispered, voice cracking slightly as his gaze darted around the luxurious office before returning uneasily to mine. I had no idea. The sight of him now, humbled, worn, stripped of his former arrogance, shook me deeply. His expensive clothes were gone, replaced by a modest suit, worn and faded. Gone was his confident posture. Instead, he looked tired, desperate. Lucas, I spoke calmly, fighting to keep my voice steady. What are you doing here? I need a job, he admitted quietly, humiliation coloring his cheeks red. I didn't realize this was your company. For a moment, the urge to laugh bitterly was overwhelming. Karma was finally serving its justice, and it was sweeter than I'd imagined. Yet beneath my satisfaction there was a flicker of sadness. Even after all he'd done, seeing Lucas so broken was unsettling. I'm surprised you'd even apply here, I managed coldly, steadying myself against my desk. I had nowhere else to turn, he confessed desperately. My fiancée, she left me. Took everything. I lost it all, Emma. The irony was so bitter, so poetic, it almost made me pity him. But memories of his cruelty surged forward, sharpening my voice again. And now you come begging? I challenged bitterly. Do you remember what you told me, Lucas? Dreams don't build empires, wasn't it? He flinched visibly, shame flooding his expression. I was wrong, Emma. So wrong. Please, I'm begging you. The words hung painfully in the air, heavy and charged with history. I glanced briefly at Daniel, who watched silently, tension evident in his jaw. He gave me an imperceptible nod, signaling his unwavering support regardless of my decision. Lucas, I said finally, forcing composure into my voice, we'll review your application like anyone else's. If your skills match what we're looking for, we'll let you know. His face fell, crushed by the distant professionalism in my voice, realizing he'd lost all power over me. Emma, please. That's enough. Daniel stepped in, calmly yet firmly placing himself protectively between us. You heard her. Lucas's shoulders slumped, defeated. He cast one last pleading look my way, desperate yet resigned, before turning slowly and walking out. As the door closed behind him, the breath I'd been holding escaped shakily. Daniel immediately stepped closer, his expression concerned yet proud. Are you okay? He asked gently. I think so, I whispered, still shaken. Seeing him like that was painful. Daniel finished quietly. Strange, I admitted softly, looking up into his reassuring eyes. I thought revenge would feel better. Sometimes victory isn't about revenge, Daniel reminded me gently, reaching to softly brush my hand with his fingers. It's about seeing clearly how far you've come. His words sank deep, stirring clarity and warmth in my chest. In that moment, Lucas no longer felt relevant. Only Daniel, who had stood unwaveringly beside me, mattered. Yet as I met Daniel's comforting gaze, a nagging question lingered painfully beneath my newfound strength. Could I finally let go of Lucas completely, or would this unexpected? That evening, my mind replayed Lucas's desperate face on repeat. I paced restlessly in my office, my stomach knotted tightly with conflicted emotions. It should have felt satisfying, seeing him humbled, brought low after everything he'd done, but instead, it felt unsettlingly hollow. A gentle knock drew my attention toward the doorway. Daniel stood quietly, his eyes filled with concern. You haven't moved from here in hours, Emma. You should get some rest. I can't, I admitted, running a tired hand through my hair. Did you see his face, Daniel? He looked broken. Daniel stepped closer, his voice calm but firm. He made his choices, Emma. You didn't break him. He did that himself. I turned sharply, meeting Daniel's steady gaze. But what if? What if he's manipulating you again? Daniel cut me off gently, his eyes filled with both concern and compassion. Lucas knows how to make you feel guilty. He always has. My chest tightened painfully at his words. He was right. Lucas had manipulated my emotions countless times before, each instance leaving scars deeper than the last. But still, part of me wondered if this was different. What if he genuinely regrets it? I asked quietly, my voice betraying the turmoil within me. Daniel sighed softly, understanding flickering across his expression. Maybe he does. But regret isn't always enough to earn forgiveness, Emma. Especially not after everything he's done. His gentle honesty felt grounding, anchoring me amid my chaotic thoughts. I sat slowly onto the edge of my desk, feeling exhausted and emotionally drained. Would you forgive him if you were me? I asked, looking directly into his eyes, searching for clarity. Daniel hesitated, then answered sincerely, I'd forgive him, yes. But I'd never forget how easily he hurt me. And I wouldn't let him close enough to do it again. His wisdom struck deeply, resonating within me. Daniel always saw clearly, understood me even better than I understood myself. His steady presence had become a source of strength I relied on heavily, even more than I'd realized. A quiet silence fell between us, filled with unspoken thoughts and feelings neither of us dared to voice openly. Finally, Daniel moved closer, leaning against the desk beside me. You've grown so much, Emma. You deserve peace, not to keep revisiting old wounds. I turned toward him slowly, vulnerability exposed openly in my eyes. Lucas broke me, Daniel. I rebuilt myself because I had no choice, but sometimes I still feel fragile. You might feel fragile, Daniel whispered softly, but all I see is strength. Strength doesn't mean never feeling pain. It means facing it and moving forward anyway. You're the strongest person I know. His words were comforting, grounding, yet also filled with something more. Our eyes met again, locked in a moment charged with intensity. Without thinking, Daniel reached out gently, his fingertips brushing softly against my cheek, wiping away tears I hadn't realized had fallen. You don't have to do this alone anymore, he murmured quietly, eyes filled with sincerity. I'm here, Emma. Always. My breath caught sharply, heart pounding wildly. The warmth of his hand, the closeness of his presence, broke down the careful boundaries I'd built between us. Everything I felt, the trust, admiration, the overwhelming longing I'd been suppressing, suddenly rose to the surface, impossible to ignore. Daniel, I whispered softly, I don't know if I'm ready. He withdrew his hand gently, stepping back slightly, his expression careful yet understanding. Then I'll wait. As long as you need. His patience moved me deeply, but confusion still lingered. I wanted him, I needed him, but fear still haunted every step forward. Just as I was about to speak again, a notification on my laptop interrupted us sharply. I glanced quickly at the screen, surprised to see an urgent email notification marked, private and confidential. What's wrong? Daniel asked quietly, noticing my sudden alarm. Opening the email quickly, my pulse spiked at the message flashing urgently in bold letters. Urgent. Confidential offer. Interested in acquiring your app immediately. Meet tomorrow to discuss terms. My eyes widened in disbelief. Selling now could secure financial stability and safety beyond my wildest dreams. But would it mean losing control of everything I'd worked so hard to build? Daniel's expression clouded with concern. Emma, is everything okay? I don't know, I whispered softly, staring at the screen, heart racing painfully. They want to buy us out, completely. He inhaled sharply, clearly conflicted. It's your decision, Emma. I'll support whatever you choose. The weight of the decision pressed heavily on my shoulders. Suddenly, everything felt uncertain, the future once again trembling beneath my feet. Could I risk everything I'd fought so hard for, or was this finally my chance at true freedom, at leaving Lucas's shadow behind forever? The next morning, anxiety churned relentlessly within me as I entered the sleek, intimidating boardroom. The polished conference table stretched endlessly before me, lined by investors whose calm, unreadable faces offered no comfort. Daniel sat beside me, his steady presence offering a lifeline amidst my internal chaos. Emma, the lead investor, Mr. Harrington, began smoothly, his tone neutral but commanding. Your app is impressive. Innovative. Exactly what our portfolio needs. A hopeful smile tugged at my lips, though uncertainty gnawed at my confidence. Thank you. We've poured everything into it. His eyes sharpened slightly, measuring me carefully. We're prepared to make an offer that could change your life dramatically, financially speaking. But there's one condition. My pulse quickened. And what is that? He leaned forward, his eyes locking onto mine. You sell full ownership. You'll be wealthy beyond your dreams, but you'll lose control entirely. My stomach churned painfully. Beside me, Daniel tensed visibly, clearly uncomfortable. The investors watched silently, awaiting my response with calculated patience. I need time, I whispered softly, voice strained. This company isn't just a business, it's my heart, my soul. Understood, Harrington replied smoothly. But remember, Emma, offers like this rarely repeat themselves. Think carefully. As they filed out of the room, tension lingered thickly in the air. Daniel spoke first, his voice heavy with concern. Emma, this is your dream, your vision. Are you really ready to let someone else control it? I don't know, I whispered, overwhelmed. After everything I've endured, I'm tired, Daniel. Maybe it's time to let go. He shook his head softly, determination flashing in his gaze. This isn't you talking, it's fear. You've fought too hard just to give it up now. His words resonated deeply, filling me with a renewed clarity. Yet doubt still lingered, painfully stubborn. Just then Mia burst through the conference room door, breathless with panic, phone tightly gripped in her trembling hands. Emma, you won't believe who's downstairs in the lobby. My stomach instantly twisted with dread. Somehow I knew before she said it. It's Lucas, she breathed, her voice strained with anxiety. He's demanding to see you. Daniel's eyes flashed protectively, immediately stepping closer. You don't have to see him, Emma. But something stirred inside me. Defiance, determination, a desperate need to face Lucas on my own terms. My heart raced, but courage surged alongside it. No, Daniel, I said firmly, meeting his gaze steadily. I have to. I need to face him once and for all. Daniel's expression softened with understanding. Then let's do it together. Minutes later, stepping into the elegant lobby, I saw Lucas waiting nervously, hands shoved awkwardly in his pockets. His face was pale, shadowed with exhaustion, eyes pleading as he saw me approach. Emma, Lucas began, his voice trembling slightly, stripped of its usual arrogance. I need to talk to you privately. I'd prefer Daniel stay, I answered calmly, leaning subtly closer to Daniel for strength. Lucas hesitated, clearly uncomfortable, but nodded slowly. Fine. Emma, I need your help. Everything collapsed after she left me. I have nowhere to go. Anger flared, but surprisingly, pity emerged alongside it. And why is that my problem now? His eyes, once full of cruel confidence, now pleaded desperately. As I was wrong, Emma. I made a terrible mistake choosing money over you. My heart clenched painfully. His admission triggered deep-seated emotions I'd fought so hard to overcome. Lucas, you laughed in my face. You humiliated me. You destroyed everything I believed about myself. I know, he whispered, visibly broken. And I regret it more than anything. Please, Emma. Help me. Daniel watched quietly, tension radiating from him as he waited for my response. His support grounded me, reminded me of who I had become, stronger, wiser, worthy of respect. You taught me the hardest lesson I've ever learned, I finally replied, voice steady but compassionate. But I won't be your safety net, Lucas. You have to rebuild your own life like I did. Lucas's eyes filled with desperation. Emma, please. At least give me a chance to make things right. But before I could respond, my phone buzzed urgently, another message flashing brightly across the screen. It was from Mr. Harrington, the investor, his words blunt yet intriguing. Emma, one condition we forgot to mention. If you accept our offer, Daniel must step away from the company entirely. No negotiations. My breath caught painfully, heart tightening sharply in my chest. Beside me, Daniel watched silently, unaware of the impossible choice suddenly facing me. Lucas's pleading eyes met mine, hopeful and broken. Daniel stood beside me, loyal and protective, unaware of the devastating decision that had just landed in my hands. Once again I found myself trapped between ambition and loyalty, between success and love. Could I sacrifice Daniel, the one who believed in me from the beginning, to finally claim the future I'd always wanted? Or was losing him too high a price to pay? The silence in the lobby stretched painfully, Lucas's desperate gaze fixed on me, Daniel's patient eyes filled with quiet strength, and the investor's message still glowing ominously from my phone. The choice felt impossible, unfair, an unbearable test of what truly mattered to me. My heart raced as I finally met Lucas's pleading eyes again, and for a brief, dangerous moment, memories overwhelmed me. Lucas's laughter echoed sharply in my mind, mingling with flashes of humiliation. The pain, the betrayal, all resurfaced, reminding me exactly who he was and what he'd done. "Lucas," I said softly, gathering every ounce of courage within me. "I can't help you. Not now. Not ever." His eyes widened, panic flickering visibly. "Emma, please. Don't do this." "I'm not doing anything to you," I replied calmly, voice shaking slightly with emotion. "You did this to yourself when you chose money over love. Now you're here begging for mercy, and I won't let you pull me back down." He stood speechless, stunned by my strength. Then, turning slowly, he walked away, shoulders slumped in defeat, finally acknowledging his loss. Yet despite my resolve, my heart felt strangely heavy. I turned back to Daniel, suddenly drained. "Can we talk privately?" Without hesitation, Daniel gently guided me to a quieter corner of the lobby. His eyes were patient, but uncertainty shadowed them. "What's going on, Emma?" I showed him the investor's message silently, anxiety twisting in my chest as he read. His face immediately darkened, but he masked his reaction quickly, forcing a brave smile. "It's okay. I understand." "No, Daniel, it's not," I insisted passionately. "None of this is fair. I would never have reached this point without you. I refuse to lose you just to gain success." He reached for my hand gently, steadying the tremors running through me. "Emma, I knew from the start this was your dream. Don't sacrifice it for me." "I don't want this dream without you," I confessed fiercely, tears forming at the corners of my eyes. "It's meaningless if I lose you." Daniel took my hands, drawing me gently closer. His voice was tender, earnest, impossibly steady. "Emma, your journey doesn't end here. Maybe our partnership in business has to pause, but it doesn't have to end us. You deserve success, even if I'm not beside you professionally." I shook my head stubbornly, heart aching at his words. "No. Daniel, you taught me to believe in myself again. I won't abandon you." His eyes softened deeply, searching my face for confirmation. "Emma, are you sure? You're risking everything." "Yes," I whispered firmly, courage returning to my voice. "Because what we have, what you mean to me, is worth far more than any deal." Daniel's eyes filled with emotion, relief and affection mingling beautifully in his gaze. "Emma, Before he could finish, Mia rushed toward us again, phone in hand, panic and excitement mixing chaotically in her expression. "Emma, wait," she interrupted breathlessly, barely acknowledging our intimate moment. "You need to see this immediately." Confusion surged as I took her phone, eyes scanning the headline rapidly. "Leading competitor files bankruptcy. Emma's startup now poised to dominate market." Shock rippled through me. In mere seconds the landscape had shifted dramatically. This news changed everything. The investors needed me now far more than I needed them. A rush of power surged through me, finally silencing my fear. Daniel read over my shoulder, astonishment quickly giving way to pride. "Emma, you've won." "I haven't won yet," I whispered softly, determination flooding my voice. "But I'm about to." A sudden clarity filled me, sharp and resolute. I knew exactly what needed to be done next, and nothing, not Lucas, not investors, not past heartbreak, could stand in my way. With newfound strength, I dialed Mr. Harrington's number, my voice steady and powerful when he answered, sounding intrigued yet cautious. "Emma, have you reconsidered?" "Yes," I replied calmly, Daniel's supportive presence beside me fueling my confidence. "I've made my decision. I won't sell. And I certainly won't give up, Daniel. We'll build this without you." There was stunned silence on the line before Harrington spoke, grudging respect filling his voice. "I admire your boldness. Best of luck, Emma." As the call ended, I exhaled deeply, relief flooding my veins. Daniel stood beside me, silent but smiling proudly, his eyes glowing softly with admiration. "You're incredible," he whispered gently, stepping even closer, warmth radiating between us. I've never admired anyone more. My heart raced faster, warmth blossoming fiercely. I reached out, gripping his hands tightly, voice trembling with sincerity. Daniel, I need you to know something. He tilted his head curiously, eyes searching mine tenderly. What is it? I'm done being afraid, I said firmly, vulnerability woven through my voice. I'm ready now, Daniel, ready to trust, ready to open my heart again. And I want it to be with you. His eyes widened briefly, then softened beautifully as a brilliant smile lit his face. Emma, you've had my heart since the moment we met. I've been waiting so long to hear those words. As he gently pulled me close, our embrace felt like coming home. Safe, comforting, everything I'd been searching for since Lucas had shattered me. The past no longer held power over me. Finally, I was truly free. Yet even amidst the joy, one question lingered quietly. Would this newfound strength be enough to face whatever came next? The world felt brighter now, softer somehow, colored with moments I'd long believed impossible. Days blurred into weeks, filled with quiet laughter, stolen glances, and gentle touches that made my heart race uncontrollably. My life had shifted profoundly, not just professionally but personally. Daniel and I were officially together, and each moment felt like stepping into sunlight after a long storm. One evening, as we walked hand in hand through the city, streetlights illuminating the sidewalk with golden hues, Daniel paused suddenly, pulling me close beneath the soft glow. You know, he began gently, eyes shining warmly, there were so many times I almost told you how I felt. I was terrified I'd ruin what we'd built. My heart skipped slightly, warmth spreading from my chest. And now, he whispered, stepping closer, his gaze locked intensely onto mine, I'm certain about us. I've never been more sure about anything. I smiled softly, feeling tears prick at the corners of my eyes. Daniel leaned down slowly, his lips capturing mine tenderly, sending warmth rushing through every nerve in my body. This kiss felt different, filled with promises of a future we could finally claim openly together. Pulling away gently, he cupped my face, his thumbs softly brushing my cheek. I love you, Emma. I love you too, I breathed, my voice thick with emotion. Saying the words aloud felt liberating, powerful. They echoed through my heart, erasing lingering fears, anchoring me firmly in this perfect moment. But just as our lips brushed again, my phone vibrated sharply in my pocket. We reluctantly broke apart, and Daniel chuckled softly, resting his forehead against mine. Always perfect timing. I laughed lightly, pulling the phone from my pocket. Mia's urgent text appeared brightly across the screen. Emma, check the business headlines now. Lucas is back in the news, and it involves you. Anxiety surged instantly. Daniel noticed my sudden stiffness, concern flashing through his eyes. What's wrong? I opened the link Mia sent, my pulse quickening as I scanned the news article, dread pooling in my stomach. Former executive Lucas Hart publicly accuses entrepreneur Emma of sabotage. She destroyed my career out of spite. My breath caught painfully. The joy of moments ago vanished instantly, replaced by sharp disbelief. Lucas, desperate and defeated, had once again thrust himself into my world, determined to drag me down with him. Daniel's eyes darkened with anger as he read the headline over my shoulder. Emma, you know this isn't true. He's desperate, he's trying to undermine everything you've built. I know, I whispered, hurt and frustration intertwining. But will others believe him? Will this destroy everything we've worked for? Daniel took my hand firmly, determination burning fiercely in his eyes. We won't let him. You're not alone this time, Emma. I'm here. We'll fight this together. His confidence calmed me slightly, though anxiety still twisted inside. Lucas's words felt like poison, threatening the fragile peace I'd finally discovered. Could I fight him publicly without falling back into vulnerability and shame, or would Lucas once again find a way to haunt my happiness? Standing beneath the dazzling lights at the annual corporate gala, I steadied my breathing. Hundreds of eyes watched intently, waiting for me to speak, to respond to Lucas's vicious accusations publicly. Daniel stood quietly beside me, supportive as always, squeezing my hand gently as I stepped toward the microphone. My voice trembled slightly at first, but steadied quickly as clarity settled within me. When I started this journey, someone told me dreams didn't build empires, that money and connections defined worth. For a long time I believed him. But standing here tonight, I know differently. My eyes scanned the crowded room, finding Lucas near the back, his presence no longer intimidating. He stood quietly, his gaze defeated, stripped of arrogance. I've faced accusations, doubts, and betrayals, and each one has made me stronger. The hardest battles weren't fought in boardrooms or against competitors, they were fought inside my own heart. I learned that no one can define our worth except ourselves. A ripple of applause echoed softly through the audience, warmth flooding my heart. Daniel stood proudly near the front, his unwavering gaze anchoring me. Someone recently accused me of sabotage, of ruining his life out of spite. I continued calmly, courage growing with every word. But the truth is, we sabotage ourselves when we allow others' cruelty to control our narrative. Lucas shifted uncomfortably, eyes cast downward. Yet surprisingly, pity, not anger, filled me as I addressed him directly, my voice compassionate but firm. Lucas, your choices brought you here, not mine. You sought value in wealth and lost yourself. I chose differently. I chose people who believed in me, who lifted me up, not tore me down. His expression softened painfully, understanding finally dawning across his face. The victory felt gentle, free of bitterness or resentment. And tonight I stand before you because of their belief. Because someone showed me the real meaning of partnership, friendship, and love. My eyes met Daniel's, openly acknowledging him before the entire room. Daniel, thank you for believing in me when no one else did, when even I didn't believe in myself. You're my partner, my strength, and my heart. Daniel's smile widened, eyes glistening with emotion, silently expressing everything words couldn't capture. I learned something important, I concluded gently. Success isn't measured by revenge, wealth, or power. It's measured by love, strength, and how many times we rise after falling. Tonight I rise, stronger, wiser, and finally free. Applause erupted powerfully, washing over me, filling every space with validation and warmth. Daniel moved swiftly through the crowd, stepping onto the stage and drawing me tenderly into his arms. You were incredible, he whispered softly, pride vibrating through every word. I've never been prouder. Our lips met, sweetly affirming everything we'd overcome together, sealing our future with a promise of happiness, respect, and genuine love. In that embrace, Lucas's shadow vanished completely, leaving only warmth and clarity. As the applause echoed around us, I knew with absolute certainty, I'd finally reclaimed myself, not through revenge but through forgiveness, strength, and love. Lucas was merely a memory now, a reminder of how far I'd come, never again holding power over me. Turning toward Daniel, I smiled softly, our future stretching brightly ahead of us, limitless and full of possibility. I had finally found freedom, and nothing would ever hold me back again.